too long since I've seen you, and it's only been a couple of months. But before that, there was,
there was some time.
There was some time. There was a whole pandemic.
Like an entire life. Literally, like we all lived complete
we're just like, so what is life? I'm going to do something else. I'm just going to do something entirely different.
Yeah.
And I got to see you for a couple of weeks in New York when I got to come up. But even then, it was just so short.
Yes, it was a very short time.
The good thing about you is that you make an impression, obviously, immediately. So, like, my soul filled up real quick. We had 1 or 2 elevator rides together, and I was like, my heart is so full.
And then I was like, oh my God, Colt's here. What are we doing? Oh my God. Bye. Like, it was the craziest thing.
Where you go?
Oh my gosh. I know. I'm so happy to be able to talk. Yeah. Like,
Just be able to take a few minutes. Okay, well, first off, thank you for taking time out of your day. What is today?
What is today?
It's Wednesday. Do you have 2 shows today?
No, I don't have 2 shows today.
Oh my God.
I was like, we make up for it on our weekend schedule.
You do 5 shows?
Which is as you all know, those schedules.
So you have been doing this show. You, I think, are the most well-traveled genie of all genies that have existed in Aladdin companies, because you have done, the Australian company you opened.
Yes.
The West End.
Yes.
The North American First National Tour.
Yes.
And the Broadway company that you're now helming.
Yes. So, yes.
What does that feel like? What does it feel like everywhere that you go to see? Because I've seen you so much. You haven't seen me, but you're on every bus in New York City. So I've seen you
I'm following you. I'm like, what you doing?
Just let the magic begin. I'm like, the magic's beginning. I'm in rehearsal. The magic, I promise, it's there.
Oh my gosh. What is it? I mean, it's like, this genie journey, if you will, is like the craziest, unexpected blessing and challenge and all the things all in one experience, one show for me. It's a dream come true. It is like everything in the kitchen sink, right? To do in one role. And it's literally like a role that I think I've been probably preparing for all of my life. So it's truly a once in a lifetime opportunity to do this kind of a role. And so it's also why it was never expected. It was never on my radar. It was never it just wasn't even in my vocabulary.
Really?
This whole genie thing ever. Even though I'm wearing blue genie today, as I'm realizing.
The glitter, the leftover glitter from last night, the blue.
All the things. I don't look as good as Angelina still, but it is fine.
Ooh, nice.
There's that.
There's so much hair. It just keeps coming.
That everyday lace front is beyond. I just, but no, it's like, I can't. But it is, I am hashtag theater nerd. Like, I am a theater kid. I am the epitome of the theater geek that you think of. And I hold that with such pride. I'm like, I love it so much. So for me, this is something that has become so much bigger than I even really imagined, to be honest with you. And it's actually hard for me to talk about, in the sense that it's so broad on so many levels. It's so big to me, mentally, of what the actual entity that is the genie, entity that is all of that is, because it has taken up so much of my, at this point of my career, it's such a big chunk of my career, but I've also done so much more. And it's the weirdest thing to me, because it feels like this is all I've done.
Yes. I get that. Yeah.
It's so weird. It's the craziest.
It's so all-encompassing.
Yeah.
I'm sure it just feels like that all the time. And again, you're seeing yourself up on billboards in Times Square, on digital billboards, on buses. I mean,
Yeah.
everywhere you go, there you are. But you have a resume. I mean, I think, is it 9 Broadway shows?
Yes.
9?
Yes. And there would be more if I didn't turn some of them down.
Hey. But see, that's the thing, is you have, and they're almost all original companies.
Yes.
Or original revivals.
Which is a whole thing. Yes.
I mean, you've been a part of so many original companies, and for people who don't know, that means you're part of the entire process
from the jump.
All those rehearsals where people are figuring. I mean, you're in the level of, there's narrators doing the show that are a different character. There's script changes, there's song changes, there's all of those things, and you've been a part of that for so many shows.
Yeah.
Is that something you enjoy, or is it something you just have fallen into? Like, did you ask your agent, look, I'd really like to be a part of original companies? Or,
you know what, it definitely was something I fell into, because my first show I did was a show called All Shook Up, which is now almost 20 years ago, which is insane to say out loud, which means that I won't even discuss how long
you were
I've known
6,
you then.
Right? you were 6,
exactly.
And I was 5.
We are coming up
5 and 6
on.
That's right. Almost can rent a car.
Yes.
It's gonna be great. So excited.
I know. I mean, like, I can't even rent a car. Actually, like,
it's really hard.
25. Yeah, it's very interesting. But like, so that when I put that, say that out loud, it is crazy to really think about, what that means. Now, I am the poster child of, like, full on doing an open call, like going to an open equity call, getting off of the Chinatown bus from Boston to New York City, Chinatown, New York City, from Chinatown, Boston, getting in at like 3 a.m. And going for like a couple hours to a friend's place to crash, and then go to an open call. I auditioned for my first Broadway show at an open call, and that's how I booked it. And I did, it was like it was a brand new Broadway show that I honestly didn't even really know much about the show. I just knew that it was a new Broadway show, and I was going to be auditioning for it. So that's
did
what I
did.
did.
You know that it was because it was Elvis music?
I knew that it was Elvis music. I did know that it was going to be a jukebox musical.
Do you remember what you sang?
Oh yes. So I went in. I actually went in. I went to the dance call. I went to a dance call. I went into the dance call, got through. Made my cuts, if you will. I'm like, okay. Now, once you put a live drum for me at an open call, you better look out. Do you hear me?
Yes, we've had one in rehearsal, and it has changed the game.
Better look out. I'm just saying.
So if you're having an open call, you want him to come? You put a drum.
Let me tell you something. It's like the craziest thing, but there's something that, like, that live drum, I just like, again, okay. So there was that. But I did that, and then I sang. Now, I grew up singing in church. So it's a shock to people that they think that I didn't really sort of, like, that was not how I kind of got into Broadway. It was actually by dancing. And so when I opened my mouth to sing, it was a shock to them, right? So I sang Stevie Wonder, All Is Fair in Love. And I sang I think I sang 32 bars of that for them. And 4 auditions later, 4 callbacks later, I was told, and I didn't have an agent or anything at the time. I was literally like, this was a young, from Annie star to be like, NYC just got here this morning, like living my life with my suitcases, okay? And I got off the bus and I auditioned.
Everybody at Port Authority, shut up.
Shut up. Everyone. They're like, Michael, shut up. They all knew my name. Everyone at Port Authority all knew my name. And
now they do.
Now, at Port Authority. Just hilarious. So, but I got the call while I was on the bus back to Boston, like my fourth after the call. You know, I mean, I want to say my final callback was at like, you know, 10 in the morning. By 12:30, I had a call, which is so crazy. And I'll never forget, it was Craig Burns at Bernie Telsey's office, and who called me, and I will never forget the call, because he called me directly because I didn't have an agent. Right. So that's how that happened. And yes, I know, it's the craziest thing. So when you say, like, you know, that you sort of like new shows, my career started with a new show, and it kind of just started to go in that way. And I kind of started just kind of going along the path and saying yes to everything, you know, just saying yes, which is what led me to like the Book of Mormon, but just saying yes. How dare you?
Mine's feeling good.
Oh my Lord. So yeah, so that's it. I didn't seek it out, but it just kind of became like a part of my thing, that I was a part of new shows.
So how long do you tend to stay with shows? Because I feel like there's a newer generation that comes in and is like, I want that resume, pop, 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 pop.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that was how you worked, or were you like, do you stick around for a second, or is it just
when I was younger, I was definitely like, what am I doing next? What am I doing next? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I think that was part of it because of the excitement, the novelty of like this idea of, I think it started to click in terms of like what I was doing and who I was. I didn't know who I was as an artist when I first auditioned. And so once I started to sort of click into my ministry, as I say, know your ministry. I started to click on who Michael James Scott was. Now, mind you, it's actually been in the last, I'm going to say 5 years, which is very recent in terms of like really clicking into what it is that I do. It took a while for me to really go there or really understand that this was what I did and that there was actually a place for me to do it. So once I began that moment, everything changed. Everything changed. And before that, when I really think back, I think back to someone who was just ticking the boxes and not fully really embracing who I wanted to be and who I was as an artist. And I think it was the hunger. It's like why I really like took as a sponge to so many of the artists that I've worked with, and like the other leads from shows and in the shows that I was in, like really like just like sponge as to like who they were, what were they doing that I was like, why were they so amazing? Right. And I love that. And I think that was part of the reason why I was like, I want to do another show. I wanted to like see what else was going on.
I love that.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of started to really inform this idea of like who I am as an artist, what is it that I am actually bringing to the table, and that like I'm good enough for it to be at the table.
Right.
You know, because for so long, and it was not as, I don't think I was as empowered to believe it, even though I always had confidence in what my ability was. I always knew, I've always known that I could eventually play something like the Genie. I didn't know that it was the Genie, right? I didn't know that. And I didn't know what it was going to be. And I didn't know, and now, like, there's even more in my head of like what I want to do. So
this has opened a door
to a whole new thing. Right. So Yeah, that was why in the beginning of my career I was like, what am I
Yeah.
doing? I want to do it all. I want to do it all. I want to do it
So you
all.
feel like you were searching for the thing that would feel like everything.
Yes.
Is that?
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that was going to, I think I'm so happy that and then listen, everybody has their own path. And it is that's actually the beauty of our business is that there is not one way. And it's a wonderful thing about, um, you know, we have the luxury in this business to have it that way. Sometimes you really can't go other
Yeah.
ways in other industries. Like you have to go a very strict trajectory, but we don't.
No.
And I would not give, I would not change a thing for how I got to this point. But I've been able to do every like kind of spot, whether it was a swing, whether it was a ensemble member, a understudy, a standby, a lead, an associate choreographer, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you
So
literally
it
have
has
run the
been
gamut.
all of it for Broadway shows.
Yeah.
And so that I'm so happy that I have done it all. That I've gotten to do it all, and that I've been blessed to be able to sort of to do that because I'm I know it actually has informed so much
Yeah.
for me in my now state of career.
So, a little anecdote. When I was touring with Pink, I would watch her every night. I would watch her do these three
I
numbers.
saw, little anecdote. I was at one of those performances.
Yes.
And it was
trip.
everything.
It was a trip. So I would watch her do three different numbers, but one in particular, Just Give Me a Reason, every night. I never missed it, not one performance in the whole time we were touring. And I would watch her every night, and she would give everything of herself. She could pour herself entirely. Every bit of whatever she had that day went out to that audience and throughout the show. But in that moment, I could watch it. And I never wanted to miss it from the first time that I caught it because it was exactly that. I saw her being able to give everything, knowing herself and being able to share that. And that was the moment that I realized, like, look, I'm not doing that. Being a backup dancer, like, that's not what I want to do. This is a great part of my journey, but it's not there. That was the catalyst for me. For you, you said about 5 years ago, something clicked and you just understood something about it. I always describe it as Angelina used to tell me, like I'd be running around the house doing funny voices and naked, just like blah, 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 cooking and making biscuits. She's like, if we could just, can't you do this, show people this? And I was like, no, when we first got together, I said, no, this is for you. Like, this is my honest self is just for you. And she said, no, no one else is ever going to get it, but you've got to be your honest self. Like, you have to share that part of yourself. And it wasn't until I started openly doing that, which again, I'm with you, 4 or 5 years ago was the first time that I was like, oh, I can be honest in me. But what was the catalyst, if there was one? I'm so interested to know what it was that shook you into that new place, that opened that door to the new level.
I mean, there are two things. It's so funny that you say that because my husband actually, when we got married, in my vows, I said to him, you know, I I know that you like, you know, there's a lot of different Michaels that people see. Most people see the showman of Michael, right, and the on man of Michael, and and I said, you know, I want to, you know, I love you for seeing all of me, right, and including the part of me that you love so much that most people no one really sees. And it's the Michael the stripped down Michael that is well, like really stripped down, but like
I I was gonna let it go. I was gonna let it go.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't do this.
Oh my gosh. The stripped down,
The acoustic.
the acoustic, yes,
version.
just guitar. Okay. And that is, and so but what I have found is in those moments, when I am just that, I am never apologizing for me. And the moment I stopped apologizing for being Michael James Scott, it was the moment things shifted for me on many, many levels. In my relationships, like friend relationships as well. But my career, like it was a complete shift. And many people have asked me, it's so funny, like it took like the Genie, like it was like it's like a therapeutic, if you will, session. It's been a therapeutic role because it you as the Genie, and you know this because you've gotten to be in that production, but you know that if 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 the Genie is faking from the jump, we know what's up right away. And
It changes the whole
it
dynamic.
changes the whole thing. And I've gotten like, many, like all these amazing young, black chubby boys, bald, all like what is, advice, right?
Yeah.
Like, what do you do? Like, what, I have a callback or I have this, like, I mean, literally, it's like, it's hilarious. Like how many times people have, asked, and that's our business. And that I'm like, okay, yeah, reach out, and it has been amazing for me, like the click for all of that. I'm like, the most successful is truly you not apologizing for who you are. And so the moment I stopped doing that, and the moment I had the empowerment to not like be anything but Michael James Scott, it all shifted. So that was that shift for me.
Be yourself.
And it's so much harder said than done.
Yeah.
And it's so much harder, like, the cliche of the word, like, oh my God, like believe in yourself, right? Like those things it's so funny to sort of just when you just say that, when you hear those words, I feel like people are like, oh my God, like, yeah, believe in yourself. I'm like, no, like you actually have to really believe in yourself.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you? Everybody has a different belief, how they had to get to that, but it's the same core thing, like that cult believes in, because your partner can believe in you all the days of your life, but if you don't believe in you, where are
It's
we?
never going to come to
It's
fruition.
never going to be there. And what's so interesting is that so many people see so much in, like they see so much potential.
Yeah.
You see, in your partners, in students, in, like they're, you do
Like,
master classes.
you see what
You
I
see
see.
it, right? Like, right? You see all these things. You're like, oh my, this is amazing. And it's amazing to watch when a person really, when that clicks and what happens to them.
Wish there was a way to get people there quick, like to help. I wish there was a class to be like, we can do this. I wish I had an answer for it. I don't know how we get people back to the funneling of the motivation that you need, and maybe they're finding it through those
maybe
things,
and
however it comes.
What's so funny is like I feel like when I've said this to other young artists, I've said it to adults, but I've given like little assignments to them, and I would say to you, I'm like, go, like, if you're gonna go, like, say you need to go to Target. You got to go to Target to get some, I don't know, like you need to get some of the Target brand cocoa covered nuts, right? Like
the Good and Gather nuts.
Yes,
you got to get some Good and Gather chocolate covered nuts. Of course I do.
Okay? So you gotta go to Target. From the moment you walk out your door to the moment you come back into that door, try in your head thinking, not apologizing for who you are. Just
There's
start
your
there.
exercise
This
right
is an
there.
exercise. Just a, like,
That's
if you need to
brilliant.
walk the dog, you know, when you have to go and put gas in your car. Like try the smallest little things and see what happens. And really know, I tell people, I'm like, notice what happens to your body. Notice what happens to your mind. Notice what happens to your face. Like, notice what happens uh, in that mindset as you go and do that little, you know,
Yeah.
task or that little errand that you need to
And
do.
it's got to be something outside of whatever your comfort zone, your home space, whatever that is.
Yes.
Nice.
Try
I love
it.
that.
Just try it. That's why it's an amazing thing to just, you know, sometimes I actually, you know, we all, you know, still insecurities and all the things, right? So like there are some times where like I've woke up and I have to go fly to go and do an event or something, or like or I'm going to go visit. Say I'm going to go visit my parents in Florida, and like in my head I think at the airport, like just try apologize, not apologizing for being Michael James Scott this morning.
Just then, like
Just
something
that.
so simple.
Just a reminder, and it's amazing, just the smallest little shift, you know, of what happens.
Yeah.
And I feel like those, once you start remembering what that feels like, it's unbelievable how that can literally change one moment of a monologue or one moment of a song, one moment of a scene that you're doing as an actor, like to sort of just have that in your thing, because it's not you're playing a character, but you're also connected to you. And that's where we're going back to this whole idea of like the other sides of cult, the other sides of Michael, right? And but still it's still being okay. It's still being yes, it's another part of you, but it's okay, you know? So that's, for me, I feel like that's been a really amazing shift for me.
Absolutely.
With the role. And also, you know, listen, we had a crazy, you know, cultural, racial awakening in this country with all that happened with George Floyd and, gosh, I mean, we can go on, the list goes on, Breonna Taylor, I mean, we can go on, right? But it's amazing at what happened. And then the conversations that started happening within the Broadway community and the entertainment community. And it's for me, it was a very, very insane, eye-opening experience to understand the actual empowerment of me being enough. And white, black, you know, Asian, Middle Eastern, South Pacific, literally it doesn't matter, but that there is a place for us. And I think that the culture, the sort of racial thing that was happening, for me, it was about where did I fit in, but moreover, like I needed to make sure that I am okay taking up space.
I love that.
So that, you know, yes, has it been easier for certain people to maybe take up space? Maybe, sure, right? But like, we also don't know everybody's story, and whether they are, you know, where they're coming from, and you know, all the things. What we do know is we have the power within our own selves to be able to stand up for the idea of us being great and not apologizing for who we are. So that to me is even more of a shift that I feel like is so attainable and so a very specific thing as an artist we can do, regardless of your color, because we can connect on that level that we all can take up space.
Well, I've noticed with those lines, I'm so that was the I might as well just edit this and put that at the end because that's just, there's no better way. I'm sure we'll find it, but at this moment, I'm like, well, then that's all, folks. No reason to continue, but I want to. I've noticed being here rehearsing for the tour that people are apologizing less for who they are in general, and it's really interesting to watch. And I hope that does exactly what you're saying, that transfers into performance. On a separate note of what you were saying of representation, our Aladdin pulled me aside the other day, and I said, "Are you so excited? You know, how's everything going?" And he's like, I'm really excited." He said it became real for me. They showed me part of the set, and there's a prayer flag that is on the set. He said that has been in my house growing up my whole life. He said,
wow.
and I really am meant to be here. Like this is, and it was such a beautiful moment of, that's why that small moment that was also so huge for him.
Yeah.
That I love what you said, and how that, I hope that empowers people to find their way here and know that there is a place.
Yeah.
And if not, make one.
Yeah.
Carve it out.
Make one. And you know, and not be
yeah. No, regardless.
You know, or
like
not, and not, you know, like, and still be kind. And that's also a very interesting thing. You know, I'm a Southern boy, and like you know, I come from a a very loving group of people, and it's very important to also in the midst of finding yourself and not apologizing for yourself, of also being a kind person, and just being and it, you know, the fine line of the cockiness and the confidence of where we go, and what we do in this greater, you know, world that is the world, but also our industry, in terms of us as artists. But like, you know, like what is it, who is it that we want to be? What are we, you know, what are we leaving, what impressions are we leaving behind? And are they impressions that you want left behind, right? Like, what is it?
Well, so that leads me to, I want to go back to the past, or I want to come back to the future in a minute. But where along those lines do you want to see Broadway in 10 years?
It's interesting. I've been asked this question.
I was going to say, is that even a question that can be answered?
I think that, yes, it can be. And I think that I want Broadway to, without sounding very harsh, but like get over itself on many levels. On like, there's a lot of like, because I am such a like diehard Broadway fan, patron, like literally everything.
Yeah.
And also actor, Broadway actor. I love saying that. Like, I am a Broadway actor. That Broadway to me is a bigger thing. So when I say what I want Broadway to be, is I want it to represent, as I start looking at the grassroots, like outside of Broadway, specifically in New York City, what is happening out in our communities, and what is the Broadway there, and some of the Broadway that is happening. And I say Broadway because I feel like each town has their own Broadway, right? And so I love the idea that there's some amazing work happening outside of the New York City Broadway. And I want that to reflect the Broadway that we all know today. That is what I want to see. But it is going to take a grassroots effort to be able to do that, to be able to empower young artists of all shades, colors, sizes, that that they can have a career not just on stage but backstage, and actually giving these young folks and people who are not so young the chance of knowing what is actually possible, right? Because it is possible. I am the living proof that it is possible. If a little chubby chocolate kid from Orlando, Florida could one day grow up to be back, if a little chubby chocolate gay kid from Orlando, Florida could grow up to be backed by one of the biggest entertainment giants in our world, leading a show across the world in full support of who he is as a Black gay man in one of the most iconic roles that has ever existed, because of this thing that is Aladdin and the Genie. I am here to tell you, as I sit on this orange couch, it is possible. It is possible. So that for me is when you say, what do I want Broadway to be? I want Broadway to be more of what it is possible for me and where I've come from. It is possible. There is no reason why there can't be more of this on Broadway. And there still is, and there is, and we're getting there. But that's what I want to see in 10 years.
I love that. I'm sorry. I paused for a second because that's why we started the Broadway Studio. We got tired of we teach these master classes all across the country and the world. And every time, as all of us tend to, we do a Q&A. Somebody inevitably asks, well, how do I get to Broadway? Like, if you had one piece of advice, what would it be? Train. Train as much as you can. Find the people, find your tribe, find your ministry, find the people who speak to your soul and learn everything you can. Soak it up, and you see them light up. You're like, oh my God, where do I do that?
Yeah.
Are you rich? Because otherwise, I don't know.
Yeah.
And we got tired of not having that space for them, because I didn't come from money. We had a garden out back, and I had to hunt for fruit. Like, I had to go hunting every year, and we had the freezers. Like, that was how we made ends meet.
Yeah.
And I fell into theater. I certainly did not have money to do this had I not been fortunate enough to have good people around me that helped me find my way here and supported me and sponsored me. And that's why we started this, was to help those children and those people, those adults that think, nope, it's too far gone. Nope, there's a space. And hearing these things that you're saying is so important to that. So thank you.
Yes.
Now,
it's so important.
Oh, I need to ask you a different question.
Okay.
What is the most embarrassing thing that has happened to you on stage?
Ooh.
Or are you willing, like, have you ever had a moment in any show, but
yes.
But specifically as the Genie, has there ever been a moment
as the Genie?
Because you have latitude, I feel like, in this role.
Yes.
To cover it.
I mean,
I want to know how you did it.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to think. Like, as the Genie, nothing is that good. But when I did Jersey Boys, that is a good one, because it is the Genie. The reason why I say it is because any little stupid mistakes, I can just get away with.
Yeah.
Right. And so even one day I came out without my my sort of or my doublet that I have the whole top part of it, that we just forgot to put that on. And so I was like, oh, I forgot to get dressed. I literally just sort of said that, right? And it's fine. And it's totally fine. So the Genie, you're like, it's not embarrassing, because you get to just say that. It's very different when you're in a show and a girl forgets to put her wig on and she's in a wig cap and she goes out on stage. That's a very different story.
No.
Yes, that happened on the Broadway stage, and it was my partner So, and it was a quick change, and they forgot to put the wig on.
Just
literally forgot.
So just cap and like bobby pins.
Bobby pins, wig cap, and microphone. And the microphone was like this because the microphone, we let it pull it up in the thing. So it was just like this, wig cap, and that was it. Like, it was the most incredible thing. And I will never forget it for as long as I shall live. But in Jersey Boys, I was the black man in Jersey Boys, which is basically like all these like random little. I changed 21 times in that show, 21 costume changes. It was insane, 21, and I played. I mean, I played like I want to say 12 different parts or so. It's crazy. So anyway, one of the parts is Barry Belson, who is the DJ who like put the seasons, the 4 seasons music on the radio for the first time. And there's this monologue that Barry does that introduces the 4 seasons for the very first time. It's a very big moment in the show because it's the big 3. It's like Sherry, the Big Girls Don't Cry. It's like all the big 3 songs. Walk like a man, like all of it, right? It's called the Big 3 section. And he introduces them and he's like getting the crowd hyped up. It's just him up center stage on like a platform with just a spotlight. And he's like, these are the guys that really make history. It's my honor to introduce you for the very first time, the 4 seasons. It is literally like it is automation. It's like the biggest cue. There's so many things that happen in the show.
The only place in the show that you really don't want anything to go wrong.
Well, I went in the full, like, actor's nightmare.
You just went to the white room. Oh.
And I was sitting up there and I was like, I am going to introduce to y'all this group, this amazing group that really know how to sing and dance, and I could not think of the actual name of the group, P.S.
So
and the crazy thing is watching everyone on the side, like you see crew, everyone's like, they have cues, so they're waiting for me to say the 4 seasons. And so I was like, the 4, and no one, you saw all of them, and everyone was laughing so hard because it was so I was like, the 4 guys! And the music's supposed to start, and like that's the next cue. And so it kind of started because and just no one was on stage. So like little by little, like people kind of trickled in. It was the absolute worst. It was absolute. Like I was like, Michael, like, you're done. Like you're done. That was the worst.
Okay, so did that end up affecting you for like the next
for like an entire month after?
Okay, good. I'm not alone in that.
No,
I went up during Aladdin, and
I
think it was when I think you were there because there have been times where in the Prince Ali argument between Kasim and Aladdin that I've gone up on that and just been like, you know what? We're out of here. Just not the lines at all. Just skipping like dozens of lines. And I just leave.
We're out of here.
I had one of those. And I thought that one was funny and that didn't affect me. But in the big marketplace scene right before Boak, I am supposed to, when he says, you can sing lead.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Oh, it's showtime. Okay. Well, I went, it's showtime. And then I hit my drum and I went, and it's supposed to be people are talking about who's in the mood for a little singing and dancing, and across the stage 2 more. And I went, hey, you guys want to hear some music? And I was on stage right, and I was like, well, just do your blocking. And I ran back to stage left, back to center, and I was like, woo! And Zach my bad guy just came up and just grabbed me and goes, okay, fully mic on. Okay, buddy. Okay, and walked me back, put me in my place, and
No.
then went down and was like, the bad cat.
I was not there, first of all.
That ruined me.
I was absolutely, absolutely, absolutely remembered that. And I would have gone down even in the middle of my makeup call to just see what was actually happening.
Oh, my head.
So I was not there for that. And
Oh.
I am so sad and mad that
It must have been right after you left, because that ruined me for, I mean, the next like month or two, where every day I would have my script and be like, I mean, I've done the show for a year now, but that's fine. I should probably look at my script.
Yes.
Oh my God. And I just remember I was sitting on the drum and I was like, something feels off. I need to really focus in.
Good.
Started that line, ruined. Okay, well, speaking of past mistakes that we've grown from, let's go back now. And what would you say if you had a time machine? You could travel back to any point earlier in your career or right when you started performing, maybe 2 different stops. And you may want to say 2 different things, but what would you want to say to your younger self? And at what point would you go back to where you think you could hear it and really, really hear it?
I would go there. There are 2 specific times. I would go back to my senior year of high school, where I auditioned for every like major.
I found this on the web.
Oh my gosh! High school auditions. That's hilarious. Not how dare you? Oh my gosh! Please, we're talking. Come on.
There's 4 of us in this conversation, Apparently.
Oh my gosh. So I auditioned I went to a performing arts high school in Orlando, and I auditioned for like every big theater, conservatory, like all the things, blah, 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 blah. And I didn't get into not one of them. Like all of my schools. And I was like, it was a shock, not only for me, my faculty, we were all just like, this is very, very, very strange. Like, this was so weird. And I found that what was interesting is that I was not fitting in a box for a lot of the conservatories. And we found this out basically from some conversations with that like the directors of the programs didn't have directly with us, but we found out from some of the counselors by way, without really them saying what this really was, but the theme started to be, that we have a specific, people that we're looking for each class.
Wow.
And I started to, it was at my audition for, and the crazy thing about it is when I think about it now, it's like, it's like literally the biggest, like, well, you're lost on so many, on so many levels. And I won't call out those schools. I won't, that doesn't, no one, who cares? But I was
if you want.
I was auditioning for school, and at that school, at that audition, I found out that that there was this other school, Webster University in St. Louis, Missouri, where they ended up having, they had the latest auditions like in the sort of season of audition. I remember, I never forget it. It was April 28th, which is very late.
Yeah.
And they had auditions on April 28th. They were the last school. So I got into that audition, like, I want to say maybe 2 weeks before. And it was the very last school I auditioned for. And I auditioned on the very last day. And I was the very last person to audition. And in that moment, I I remember thinking like, oh, this is going to be like the same thing. Like they accept like, 16 people and that's what it is. Right.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of had at that point kind of given up. It was the first time where like my moms and dad were like they had never seen their Michael truly down. Like I was, lived in an up place. And they were very concerned because I this was the only thing I ever wanted to do. There was nothing else I was going to do. Nothing. I knew for this is it. This is it. This is what I'm doing. So I got in to Webster University in St. Louis, Missouri, and it was the best thing. God, Allah, Buddha, the things like the paths that we were just talking about, full circle. That was where my path needed to be. And I would tell my younger self, because I didn't even think that I didn't even understand what this meant. But if I had heard it, I think I would have, that to stay outside of the box. That's what I would tell them. Stay outside of that box.
I love that.
Stay outside of that box. Because being outside of that box is what's going to change your trajectory of your career later, period. So I would tell them that. And then I would tell my 20s self, I would say to them, I would say to him, you are enough. You are enough. And even when you think that the world may bypass you, they are not looking at you. You are not a, heartthrob, like leading man who, like women and men fawn over, like, and all the things that, like, you are enough. You are enough. And because the moment I started to believe that I was enough was the moment that people actually started finding me attractive. Like it's a crazy when you start thinking about people being like, oh my God, you're like, it's the moment you actually feel sexy.
When you come in, it's when you come into your own self.
Yes.
They see that, and that's that confidence.
Yes. So that's what I would, those are the moments that I could hear it and I would say too. Because I wouldn't change anything else. I really wouldn't. I'm so happy that I went through the craziness, and in terms of just like, not being rich, not being, being, a minority kid with a gap. It's like all the things. Like I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't want to change it. Never.
Well, looking at, I'm fortunate that my beautiful wife has known you even longer than I have.
Yes.
And you guys met at, I guess we're starting at the present day with the Genie in the interview, and moving back to how, not just that you got started, but I want to touch on Broadway Theater Project, and most importantly, Anne Ranking and all of the faculty that was there. Is there any singular memory? Because you literally came up with legends. You have, I've seen videos of you with Ben Vereen. That in and of itself, it's invaluable. And what I loved, your first day of rehearsal on the tour, you came in, and before anybody had seen, I was already mad because I was like, how do you not already know him? Like, this is whatever. But you came in and we were doing Somebody's Got Your Back. And I just said, just wait. And they were like, oh, is he really good? I said, just wait. And you did it. And you move your hands in such a specific way. You move your whole soul in such a specific way. but there's trace elements. If you know the history of Broadway and who those legends were, you can see them. Their DNA is in you, and it's so beautiful to watch. Is there any moment that stands out to you as one that
Oh my God.
you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
that again was that catalyst for all of those things, so that you go back to.
I mean, yes. I mean, literally, Angela and I have had some crazy training.
I mean,
Crazy training. And like, I just the other day was tagged on Instagram of a video with Gwen Verdon, and Gwen Verdon teaching who's got the pain, like,
ooh,
and there I am with like Tyler Haynes, I know you all, Tyler, and like Parker Essie, and then like Aaron Albano, and like I mean, it's just like the list
Aaron and
goes on.
Tyler both literally have courses on here.
Yes,
Like,
of
course they do.
of course. I mean, like it's the craziest thing, and I when I really think about that time, I mean, I still don't believe that if I had known who they really were, it wouldn't have been the same.
Yeah.
So when I was in high school and like going to Broadway Theater Project, and Gwen Verdon was like, I would like. I got someone came, like, it was like a messenger came and got me out of a class one day. It was like, Gwen Verdon, and can you come? Can you come? And it was just me and this another actor named Peter Ewan, and Gwen Verdon and I, the three of us. She wanted to set a number on us.
How?
And like, I don't even, when I think about that, like now I'm literally like, it is so mind blowing. But like, when I really think about what Gwen Verdon was doing in that moment, and how she instilled in me, like truly, like, I was not at all physically what you would think that a dancer would be. Or and P.S. Fosse didn't call them dancers; he called them actors. So
that part.
so there's
That part.
right? But I didn't think that I was not what, quote unquote, the stereotypical dancer, if you will, looked like. And when she picked me out of that, she saw something in me that I will always be grateful of. But what was also beyond insane for me to learn from her was the work ethic. Gwen Verdon danced me down right next to me at her age, because literally a few months later she died. That was also so crazy. Like, she was dancing that hard, sweating, with her little hair like stuck to her face, like the most beautiful face, and like that gorgeous red hair, like kind of just like stuck to her face from dancing so hard at her age, with me, like, and another guy in the studio just doing. And it wasn't for the cameras, it wasn't for anything but for us. Like, she saw something in us and wanted to show us like what it was like to or what it could be, like how far she could push us. And that, I think, it changed everything for me. And ranking, and I've said it before, she changed my life. She changed my life. She saw something in me at, an audition, and did not care. She didn't care where any of us came from. She didn't care where any of us, grew up. She only cared about what we were doing right there in that studio, in that moment, what we were doing. Like, what is it that you're doing? And the excuses were none. There were no excuses. So she changed my life. She changed my life by showing me that it is possible. I when she died, I did a post about it, and because I was like, I don't even know what to say. But what I in that moment I thought, this to me, and this it's so funny, because I feel like this is like wrapping up our session today. It's in a weird way, but it she showed me what our world, like what is possible. A white woman, like at that moment, an older white woman in her career who had already had her career, saw this little brown boy, like from Orlando, from like not a great part of Orlando, Florida, and like didn't care about that, and was just saw the wonderment in my eyes, saw the artistic thing, saw that there was something, like she saw a light in me. And I didn't know what that was, but she gave a damn. And she actually made an imprint in all of our lives in that at Broadway, specifically at Broadway Theater Project. But it was in that moment that when I think about it, I'm like, this is what I dream of the world to be. This is what my ancestors actually dreamed of. They dreamt that one day my ancestors who were slaves would like one day they're down the line, they would have a part of their family who could be starring in a Broadway show from a white woman who did not care about anybody's color of their skin, but simply the fact that we connected on art. That to me is what this business is. And that to me is why I know that, and it's why I believe so much in the light, if you will, because that's what it was for me. And I am standing here and sitting here today. That is why it is possible. So it was life-changing.
I mean, I don't see any better way for this is the natural conclusion of this. I could talk to you forever, and I know Anne just dying to come in and talk to you more and just kiki with you. I love you. Thank you so much for
Love
being
you.
here.
Thank you all for having me.
Thanks for taking the time. And
Yes.
And most importantly, and I've said this to you in private, but I'd like to say to you very publicly, thank you for doing the work the way you do the work, because it's inspiring to all of us. Some of the kids who are working but too young to really understand where it comes from. Maybe we didn't all have those legends.
Nah.
We didn't all have people to build us up in that way. But just thank you for working the way you work, because you are rapidly becoming one of those people that everybody can look to. And it's amazing. I've nothing but respect for you. And also as a person, obviously I love you, but
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love performing with you. Being on stage with you is, if you get a chance, I'd take it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, baby.